The village was named Shitalpur, empty and desolate. Its dust-covered roads seemed to radiate sorrow even under the bright daylight. In a small, thatched hut in this forsaken place, a boy was born. His name meant light, but reality was quite the opposite. His name was Alok. Alok's father was a farmer, and his mother, a homemaker. They owned just a single bighha of land, and half of it was already mortgaged under debt. Every day, their lives were beaten down by poverty. There was more water than rice in their pots. The pages of his school books had long been torn, and the sandals on his feet were worn out and hideous. Yet, Alok was different. He knew how to dream dreams that went beyond bread and rice, dreams of dignity, self-respect, and love. Even in his tattered school uniform, he was the brightest student in class. The teachers were astonished by his intellect and grew fond of him. One day in class, the teacher said something that etched itself into Alok's heart. To rise in life, it's not just about studies. You have to learn to fight with your heart. But the real battle began when his father suddenly fell ill. The diagnosis came like thunder: cancer. They were already in debt, and now the cost of medicine felt like a death sentence. The sole breadwinner of the family was bedridden. His mother tried to hold back her tears, while Alok sat up night after night, studying beside his father's bed, because he knew that his success was the only ray of hope left for his father. One day, his father said, "Alok, you have to grow beyond me, and beyond this poverty." Those words stirred a storm in his soul. 3 days later, his father passed away. A part of the light inside Alok seemed to dim, but he did not break. He held on to his vow, even stronger than before. The road to the city. Alok appeared for his SSC exams and topped not only his school, but made a name even at the district level. But where was the money for higher education? With the help of the village school teacher, he managed to secure a small scholarship. With that meager amount, he left his mother behind in the village and set off toward the city, chasing a dream. City life was unforgiving. Here, no one understood your pain. No one lent a hand. To survive, you needed courage and unshakable patience. In the beginning, Alok lived near a temple. During the day, he studied at a hostel-affiliated school, and at night, he washed dishes at a roadside hotel. One day, a classmate asked him, "Why do you study so hard, man? Even if you land a job, it'll barely pay 1,000 rupees. You'd earn more driving a rickshaw 200 a day. Easy." Alok smiled gently and replied, "Even if I drive a rickshaw today, someday I'll own the biggest company in this city." Many laughed at his words, but Alok knew exactly where he was headed. The school of struggle life in the city became a different kind of school for Alok. Here, people didn't just study from books, they studied through empty stomachs, through the wounds of neglect, and through the heartbreak of shattered dreams. Alok woke up every day at 5 a.m. He'd wash his face with a little water near the temple where he stayed, then take out the few books he had stored in a plastic bag and sit in a quiet corner of the city to study. By 8 a.m., he would report for work at a local roadside hotel. The hotel owner had eyed him skeptically at first. "You're a student? Then how will you manage the work?" Alok had replied, "If I can study, I can work hard too. I only ask for a little time at night to study." The owner was rough on the outside, but had a soft spot deep inside. "Let's see. If you can manage, you can stay," he said. The first few months were brutally hard. Alok would often cut his hands on sharp plates, slip and fall while washing dishes, but he never gave up. After a long day's work, at 10 p.m., he would go behind the temple to study under the open sky. Seeing his dedication, the temple priest gave him an old table and chair and said, "Keep studying, Alok. You have to rise. Results and a new path." One day, an announcement echoed through the college loudspeaker. "This year's top scorer in the university scholarship exam is our very own student, Alok Saha." The whole campus erupted in celebration. The principal personally called him in and said, "You're not just the pride of our college. Alok, you're the pride of this city. With this scholarship, you can now study at the best university in the country." Tears welled up in Alok's eyes. "Sir," he said, "if I hadn't studied on the side of the street, no one would have known my name. I won't just fulfill my dream, I'll fulfill my mother's too." Even the hotel owner came and hugged him. "From today, you're my son. Forget about working here. Go. Start your own office. I'll always stand by you." A new city, a new battle. With a scholarship, Alok moved to a prestigious engineering college in Kolkata. Life there was a world apart. Children of wealthy families, modern lifestyles, foreign languages, new technologies. At first, Alok felt lost, but he reminded himself, "I cannot afford to lose." He studied harder than ever. He devoured books from the library, and slowly, his name began spreading among his classmates. One day, the college hosted a startup competition. The winning team would receive a Quatin lakh investment and the opportunity to launch their business. Alok knew this was his chance. He built a project called Krishak Sahayata app, Farmer Support app, a digital marketplace for small farmers. The app allowed them to upload information about their crops, connect directly with buyers, and sell without any middleman ensuring fair profit. On the day of the competition, Others arrived with flashy presentations and polished English. Alok arrived with heart. He said, "I come from a family that never got a fair price for its harvest. I know the value of a farmer's sweat, and I know how technology can protect it." The auditorium fell silent. Then, the judges stood up and gave him a standing ovation. Alok won first place. The birth of a dream, the blow of betrayal. After winning the startup competition, Alok launched his first company, Swaraj Krishi Tech. His goal was clear: "I want to wipe the tears from the eyes of farmers like my parents." With the Hutanlak seed investment, he rented a small office near his college and began working with 2 or 3 of his close college friends. Their first step was to develop a simple app that allowed farmers to upload pictures of their crops in their local language, set a price, and connect directly with urban buyers. Orders started coming in, and for the first time, farmers began receiving fair prices without middlemen. Within just 6 months, Swaraj Krishi Tech had made a name for itself across several villages. They participated in agriculture expos and local panchayat meetings to spread awareness. The response from farmers was overwhelmingly positive, but where success goes, envy follows. One day, a familiar face Ranjan, a college senior, approached Alok and said, "You've come so far alone. Let's become partners. I'll handle marketing, and you manage the tech." Alok trusted him. Ranjan was smart, well-connected, and came across as dependable. They started working together. Gradually, Ranjan took over most of the operations accounts, investments, client communications. The bite of betrayal. One day, Alok noticed the company's bank account was empty even though they had just closed a large order. Suspicious, he dug into the records. What he found shattered him. Ranjan had forged Alok's signature and siphoned the money. Worse, he had registered a new company using the same name and had stolen the source code of the app. It was all gone. Alok was left with just $450 in his pocket. He lost the office. The interns left. Everything crumbled. Then came a call from his mother in the village. "Son, the harvest wasn't good this year. Prices are terrible. But you're doing well, right?" Alok smiled through the pain. "Yes, Ma. I'm doing great. You take care." As soon as he hung up, he broke down. The rebirth of confidence. 3 days and nights passed in despair. No food, no place to sleep, no hope. On the 4th day, he went to visit an old teacher. The teacher looked him in the eye and said, "Alok, who made you what you are, Ranjan? Or you, yourself? If you built yourself once, you can build yourself again. But this time, stronger." Those words hit him like lightning and woke him up. Alok started over. From the ground up. A new plan. A new ray of hope. He realized that building an app wasn't enough. The real challenge was connecting people with technology. This time, he started a new project, Abhi Krishi Services, with 5 local youths from villages. He trained them not only in using the app, but also in how to help farmers place orders and deliver produce to urban markets. He created a network: farmer, local youth, buyer. The first 2 months brought little income, but by the 3rd month, a major retail chain offered to directly source produce through his platform. This time, Alok didn't chase investors. He went to the local rural bank, the one where his late father had an account. The bank manager said, "I knew your father, a truly honest man. For his son's venture, will offer a micro-loan collateral needed." Tears welled up in Alok's eyes, rising again stronger than ever. A new office opened. Not just an app, no, we built village kiosks to offer live support and training. Each village had a designated Abhi assistant to guide farmers. Within a year, Abhi Krishi Services was operating in 13 districts. The annual revenue crossed 1 crore. Alok's name was now in newspapers, on television, and across online platforms. No one said, "Go drive a rickshaw" anymore. Everyone said, "This boy is truly an inspiration." The final chapter of triumph and trials. A year later, Abhi Krishi Services had grown beyond just a company, had become a movement. Thousands of farmers across villages were no longer dependent on exploitative middlemen to sell their crops. Unemployed rural youth were now finding purpose and employment through this network. Alok had become a media sensation. His interviews featured on TEDx, India Today, Forbes, and more. People hailed him as the son of a farmer leading a rural revolution through technology. 3 years later, Alok brought his mother to the city. He bought her a small apartment and said, "This home is for you, Ma. It's small, but it's ours just like my dream." His mother sat in silence for a moment, then said, "If it weren't for you, Alok, I'd still be counting leaks in our broken roof." Tears welled up in Alok's eyes. Yet, as his success grew, so did a quiet fear. The fear of losing his humility. The fear of being consumed by pride. International recognition. One day, Alok was invited to speak at the International Social Impact Forum in Dubai. Taking the stage, he said, "I am not a big businessman. I'm just a man who believes when technology meets the heart, It doesn't just bring profit, it transforms lives. His speech went viral. He was awarded the UN Young Changemaker Award. Returning home, he stood silently for a moment, amazed that the same life which had begun in a mud hut now hung a global medal around his neck. Ranjan's return. Around this time, one day, a visitor arrived at the office. The manager came in and said, "Sir, someone named Ranjan is here to see you." Alok paused, then said, "Let him in." Ranjan entered, head bowed, eyes tired. He said quietly, "Alok, I came to ask for your forgiveness. I've lost everything. I now work at a small shop. I know I was wrong. Please believe me." Alok sat silently for a long moment. Then he said, "You betrayed me, didn't you? But if I don't forgive you today, then I'm no longer the same Alok, the one who didn't abandon his dreams even after his father's death." He stood, walked over, and placed his hand on Ranjan's shoulder. "If you truly want to work for the people, you can join our training department, but this time, you have to mean it." Tears filled Ranjan's eyes. The ultimate crisis. Just when everything seemed perfect, disaster struck. A major delivery batch was canceled due to a logistical error. As a result, the crops of 250 farmers spoiled. The media erupted with headlines. Abi Krishi's negligence causes farmers huge loss. Protests broke out in villages. Some farmers took to the streets, though Alok knew it wasn't directly his fault, understood that the responsibility was still his. He traveled to the village himself, gathered the farmers, and took the mic. "I'm truly sorry for your loss. Please give me 7 days. I take full responsibility for this." The very next day, Alok personally took a loan and compensated every single farmer. An old farmer came up to him and said, "You are Alok, true light in our darkness, the beginning of the end, and the end of the beginning." Years later, Abi Krishi Services had expanded to 15 states across India. Alok had now opened a free startup academy for youth, where rural boys and girls could come and receive entrepreneurship training at no cost. At a TEDx event, someone asked, "How did you walk such a difficult path?" Alok smiled and said, "There's no magic, just one belief: if I gave up, thousands of others like me would lose hope, so I never let myself give up." After reaching the summit, a life revisited. At just 33, Alok had become a household name. Newspapers called him the architect of India's rural tech revolution. Invitations poured in from the UN, the World Bank, Harvard Business School. Books were being written about him. Documentaries were being made on his life. But deep within, a strange loneliness had begun to settle. One day, a journalist asked him, "You've got it all: fame, money, respect. What more is left?" Alok paused, then replied, "Yes, I've received everything, but sometimes I wonder, have I lost the real me? Am I still that rickshaw driver's son? Or have I become just another corporate brand?" That very night, he made a life-altering decision. He would return to his village, the journey back, returning to the roots. Alok stood again in the courtyard of his childhood home, its cracked roof, the smell of mud floors, and the quiet hum of his past. The village now had internet, modern farming techniques, youth development centers, all thanks to the movement he'd started. His mother was watering the tulsi plant in the yard. Seeing him, she simply said, "I knew you'd come back." Alok bowed his head and whispered, "Ma, I've spoken on the biggest stages, but I've never forgotten that first story I told at your feet, the dream of a poor boy." Alok Vidyalaya, a promise for the future. Back in the village, he founded Alok Vidyalaya, a school that didn't just teach textbooks, but taught life, resilience, ethics, technology. On the gate of the school was written, "If education is only for jobs, it can't shape a life. But if education is light from the heart, it can change the world." On the first day, Alok brought his old used books and gave them to the students. "These books carry the scent of sweat and the touch of dreams," he said, with a smile. "A special letter." One morning, the postman arrived with a letter. On the envelope, from the Government of India, Padma Shri Award. Alok read it in silence. His mother, standing beside him, said, "Why wouldn't you get it? You are Alok, born to spread light." He smiled gently. "Ma, I never did it for the awards. I'm just a boy who knew worse than hunger is living without a dream." The final scene, a new beginning. One day at the school, he noticed a boy-torn shirt, no sandals, but fierce determination in his eyes. Alok asked him, "Do you want to study?" The boy replied, "Yes, but I can't afford it." Alok sat him down and said, "You know, I was once just like you. But remember one thing, you don't need money to dream. If you keep your dream alive, one day the whole world will bow to it." The final words, one life, one message. Through his life, Alok taught us, being born poor isn't a crime, but living without dreams is. Every failure, every betrayal shows a new path. The greatest investment isn't money, but the intensity of your heart and mind. The story ends, But Alok's journey continues. Because where there is light, darkness cannot survive, and Alok was born to be that light.